by Design, and I'm glad you could join me here today. I have a trio of sweet treats for you this morning. I am working with Authentique Paper's darling new Confection collection kit. This is a smaller collection. It does come with cardstock components, adorable cut-aparts, beautiful patterned papers, and it's all themed with ice cream and sprinkles and chocolates, and I love this beautiful text page, and just everything sweet related, beautiful colors and patterns, and I had a blast working with this, so much so that I couldn't stop myself. I just kept making. So the first thing I made was this really adorable, let me see, this is a 6.5 by 4.5 little waterfall folio. And this has a little shaker top. I've used one of Becca Feakin's, this is the Brilliant Rondelle die. And I turned this into a shaker element by backing the die with clear acrylic cardstock and then matting that with an elevation piece. That's tricky, I'm not gonna lie, but we made it happen. And then filling it with these really adorable Lilac Lane sequins. Great big button, also from Buttons Galore and More, and then this adorable ice cream sundae, some cherries, a little graphic 45 ATC tag that I just covered with paper, more buttons from my stash. I stitched a contrasting spine, little birdie flowers, really reasonable ribbon, and on the spine I just glued on a couple of these cute little novelty buttons from Buttons Galore and More. And here's a look at the back. So this is super simple on the inside. It's a double waterfall held shut with a ribbon closure, and then I made a little 3x4 folio. You can tuck a gift or small pictures in here, and then this just flips out. I'll show you. Both sides are the same, they're mirror image. So here's the other little folio. All you need is Love and Chocolate. The back is covered, and then these just flip out. And then I've added flip pages, but this will hold 4x4 photos. This would be a great way to record a birthday party or an ice cream social. Very cute. Not huge, but lots in it. Little photo mounts in the pockets here. And then the back side holds these cute little tags that I just covered. You can use these for journaling, but I just think they're super cute. I love little tags. So that's the first project, which was very fun. And there's not a tutorial for this. I was gonna do a tutorial, and then you know how they say great minds run in the same channel? Tamara Kilgore over on the Everything Authentique page, in her weekly tutorial, we both had the same idea. Hers is a little bit different than mine, but they're both waterfall, double waterfall folios. What are the chances of that? So you can get all that info from Tamara at Everything Authentique. I didn't want to interfere with what she had done, but this is a real simple make. And I did make the album from scratch. I'm pretty sure I have tutorials on my YouTube page also that show you how to do this sort of album. I know I have waterfall folio albums. So that's project number one. Then I was having so much fun I couldn't stop myself, and I decided I wanted to make kind of a different sized card. This is bigger than what I normally make. This is actually 8.5 by 4.5 with a 1/2-inch spine. So this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that I just scored at 4.5, 5, 9.5, and then it made a little pocket on the inside. So it's one piece, real easy to put together. And then I just layered up some of the Spectrum Tickled Pink cardstock with papers from the collection. I built these little platforms in the center. These are I want to say they're 2 by 3 3/4. Popped up these little banner flags, added sprinkles and glitter. And then in the center, this is from the component sheet, as is the sentiment, and then just built a little cluster of little birdie flowers, some Prima crystals, and another one of these adorable little buttons, which these are Buttons Galore and More. And then on the inside, there's a little Tag pocket. You can also slip a gift card in there. This says enjoy, and it's finished on the back as well. Little paper clip embellishment with a banner flag. And then down here in this pocket, life happens and chocolate helps. So of course there's chocolate inside, room to write little messages in these little folios. And I just make these by folding paper and adding a little pocket. They're super simple. So that's the second project. Then the third project, I thought, oh, I haven't made a stuffed envelope in forever. And as I was putting things together to make this stuffed envelope, I realized that Authentique Party is a really good playmate for Authentique Confection. Don't you love when that happens? So I used my envelope punch board to create this. I believe this is 8 by 6.5 by 6.5 envelope, and you just follow the directions on the punch board. And then several of you had asked me to show you how I use the Eileen Hall Mailable frame die to make a shaker element. So that's what the tutorial is today, is just for making this element. I didn't go into everything else, but I just strung a little banner from the party collection along the top here, added little elements, buttons, little birdie flowers, some really beautiful two-tone silky organza ribbon, filled this with a shaker mix, and this is the front side, but then you flip it over and everything's falling out. Let me tuck this back in. Here's the stuffed envelope part. These are so fun to make. So fun to make. And I kept the back side pretty simple because there's all this action going on inside the pocket. So this is just a sentiment sticker from the party collection. Topped this with some little flowers and ribbon, little tags, and then inside I put together a little birthday gift. So this is Biscoff cookies wrapped in decorative paper, tied with a ribbon, and I tucked a honey stick and one of my signature vintage silver plate spoons in there. So pretty. This is one that my buddy Sarah Emily sent to me. She has an awesome blog and you should check her out. She's amazing. So just topped this honey stick with a little sticker. So that's super cute. And then this is also that same mailable frame die, only this time I turned it into an envelope. I just glued the sides, and this is a Trader Joe's birthday cake white chocolate candy bar with cookie sprinkles. So that's a fun little gift. And then I took a couple of Graphic 45 laser cut tags. I treated them with Distress Oxide inks and then just dressed them up with a couple of little images from the collection and these cute little sayings on the back. So that's those. And then there's a long tag, happy birthday, room to write a sentiment, and on the back this opens out, is today your birthday or am I partying for no reason? So really cute. And you can add a photo or your own little message. And there's another, oh yeah, I forgot to show you the back side. Oh, well there's a tea bag anyway to go with the honey stick and the, sometimes when I set up for these videos stuff goes missing, but there is a tea bag that goes on the back of this to go, oh no, I put it inside I think. Yeah, the tea bag is inside. Ta-da! To go with the honey stick and the spoon and everything. So that's a really fun little birthday gift. So if you hang around, we'll go to the tutorial that will show you how to make the shaker frame. Some of you had written me and said, I did another tutorial, but evidently I didn't do a very good job because some of you said you just could not figure it out. So I wanted to show you step by step how I built that so that you can build it too. So hang around. Authentique, Confection, and Party. Lots of fun. And if I'll have still photos after the tutorial so that you can kind of take a closer look at all of these. I'll also link to my blog post where I'll have little details, tips, and tricks. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you join me. Now I'm going to go get my craft on. Bye. Okay, so for those of you who struggled with figuring this all out, And I get it. It's hard to always tell. Here's how I placed my paper, and this is Authentique Party. And of course this was all one piece. But I put this piece in, and I hope you can see this. This is a long die. So it was oriented like this. And then I ran it through my die cutting machine. And of course it comes out like this. So I cut off the top flap, and I'll use that somewhere else. And then I have this side with the lady holding the cake, and then this part of the cake up here. Well, what I decided to do was flip this time both of these pieces around. And yes, this piece on the back is slightly smaller than the piece on the front, but that doesn't matter one bit because of the way we build the shaker box. So I'm just going to ink up these edges real quick just to add a little definition because this is so white. And the reason I flipped this is I want the little banner. That's the only reason. You could do it, you know, you could do it any way you want to. But I've cut these apart, and that is the key. And I thought I mentioned that before, but maybe I left that step out. Sometimes it's really hard when you're working and talking to remember all the details. But now that this is inked up, I've got a piece of clear cardstock that fits behind it. And you can see we're going to have to trim this a little bit, but I'm not worried about that. I just want to get this down. So I like to use my Art Institute, I've got a little glue booger there, Art Institute Dries Clear Adhesive. It's been a couple of days since I've crafted, so I just need to open this up again. And I'm just going to go a thin bead around the outside edge of this. And this is going to become our shaker box. Then I'm going to lay this down. And the tissue paper obviously comes off, but I like to leave it on there to, it helps protect. You can clean this. What I do is if I do get a little bit of glue or mess on that acrylic window, hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer cleans it right off because you want that window to be sparkling clean for your card. And I've lost my scissors. Okay, so we're just going to trim. Actually, I'm going to use this guy. I'm just going to trim along this bottom edge so that everything is even, like that. And a little bit off of this side. But you can see how keeping that tissue paper on there is, while I'm cutting and trimming, is protecting it from getting scratched on the back side. And that's why I do that. So I might take just a tiny bit more off the bottom because we got a little bit of a raggedy edge there. Okay. Oops. This cutter does not like that clear cardstock. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this tissue paper from the back, and here's my window, right? And I'm going to build, let me put down a clean sheet of paper. So this is going to be our shaker box, and this is going to be behind the shaker box. So I'm just going to bring in some waste chipboard. And let me cut this and I'll be back because this takes, you don't want to watch this part, it's boring. I'm just going to cut this into strips that will fit around here. Okay, so I've cut my little pieces here, and I'll just show you very quickly how I stack these together. I like to have some height in my elevation on the box of my shaker bag because then I can put items like buttons and half pearls and things like that in there and they won't get stuck. So I've used this waste mat board. This is just white mat board that I had left over from another die cutting project, and I've just cut it into 1/4 inch strips, and I measured the height, and it was 4 3/4, so that is what I did. And then you see I just glue those together to create a side for my elevation box. Now if you want to use foam tape, you certainly can. One of the great things about this frame die is the fact that it has really wide sides, so you don't have to worry as much about your adhesive showing through the window. Some frames are really narrow and it's a lot trickier to build the elevation because you want to try to avoid that foam tape or, you know, whatever adhesive it is that you're using. You want to avoid having it show through the window. But this is going to create a nice sized box, and I'm real happy with the way this is looking. So I'm just going to continue doing this, and I'm working again on a clean sheet of paper to keep the window as clean as possible. You can clean it, as I said, with hand sanitizer, but it's an extra step, and I try to avoid that as much as possible. There was some sort of little smudge on there, but I was able to just blow it off. And I'm not real concerned. I mean, I try to keep the width on these the same. I'm not as concerned about that as I am about the side to side, because what you want to avoid is gaps where your little shaker elements can sneak out. And that is clearly too long, so we're just going to trim it, come back in. That fits really well. And turn this. Are these going to be too long? I think these are going to be too long. I think I cut them all at 4 3/4, and I meant to do the top and bottom at 4 1/4 and the sides at 4 3/4, but you get the idea here. This is not rocket science. It just takes a little patience, and foam tape is faster, but I'm finding that I really like working with this waste chipboard. One, it's free and it helps me recycle. Two, sometimes with the foam tape, the shaker elements have a tendency to stick to the sides of the foam, and it kind of, you know, creates a problem. The sequins stick to that, and then the shaker box isn't quite, you know, doesn't shake as well. Yeah, that one's too long too, so I'm just going to come in here, trim it. But see how we have nice, like it's nice and tight in the corners, and we don't have to worry about the sequins leaking through. So at this point, you bring in your backer page, and yes, it's smaller, but it doesn't matter. Now, if you wanted to, you could put this little puppy down in here. He's real cute. But what I did, I decided to use this back side. I want to make sure I have my music notes right side up. Really, you can hardly even tell, but I think that's the right side. And then this gal is going to kind of be over that. So this is your shaker box. Flip it upside down. And this is the point at which you can clean out any little smudges or anything that you happen to pick up on the inside. You can use a baby wipe. I find a paper towel with hand sanitizer works great. So I've got my shaker elements. This is Lilac Lane from Buttons Galore and More, and this is the Rainbow Unicorn. I think these colors go really well. And I like to fill my shaker box. And we can fill this pretty full because there's no inside element, right, that needs to show through. It's just plain sheet music. Then I add my adhesive, here. Fill in any little gaps because those will dry. And then I just take my background paper, center it over as well as I can. And there you go. That's how you do the shaker box with the Eileen Hull frame. And then look how cute she's going to look. I could actually put more sequins in there. And I might peel the back off while it's wet and add more sequins because I think it needs it. So let's see if we can do this without creating a complete disaster. Oops, well, that was a disaster. I'll clean that up later. But right now I just want to get these guys in here because, I mean, that is kind of the focal point, is the shaker, and where we've got Our Lady with the cake there, we want to make sure we have plenty of, that the sequins don't all get hidden behind her. So let's see if we like this better. Oh yeah, that's much better. See? And now I'll pop her up and then the sequins really show. Doesn't that look like a party? That's fun. So that's how I did the shaker box, for those of you who asked. And this little flap you can use like somewhere else as some other element, or you can just toss it out. But this is such an easy way to build a shaker box because of the width of the frame. So there you go. There's the tutorial. Now I'm going to put the rest of this project together, and but that's the tutorial. Thanks. Bye.